Welcome everyone and welcome to today's video. Now, it has been just over a year since I got my Oculus Rift S headset, and what a purchase it has been. It has completely changed my experience within sim racing, and I can't imagine ever not getting it. And of course the channel wouldn't be where it is today without it, because it's pretty much what all my content is based around. Now, 1 year is a very long time to have any product, and I thought it'd be good to give you guys an update on my experiences with it, because while I love the headset and I love VR, it hasn't all been rosy. I have had some downs and some troubles with it, unfortunately. As well as this, this milestone has come around at a very apt time, because there has been some relevant news regarding the Rift S over the last couple of months that is not only going to affect maybe your purchase of this headset, but also us current Rift S users. So be sure to keep an eye out or an ear out for that a little bit later on in the video, because it is quite important news. So before we head into it though, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to join the Discord that is in the link in the description below. Turn those notifications on and enjoy. So, to start off with, let's talk about the positives. I always like to start on a good note, start with the good news, shall we say. The performance. So the performance of the headset itself is still holding up. It's still very good. I haven't had any issues in regards to the image that has been displayed, as in regards to graphics, the settings that I set it out to. The lenses are still performing really well, as long as you make sure you look after them, wipe them down with a cloth, a dusting cloth, and keep them keep a void of any scratches. I always generally, after use of my headset, just leave a cloth kind of stuffed within the eye socket part, so that nothing can get onto it that it shouldn't be. Also, while it doesn't sound quite nice, you are wearing this headset for can be for long periods of time, and we are generally wearing it, of course, on our face, which for most people is where your skin becomes most flaky. Now, I'm going to go into a beauty course here, or a beauty lesson of how to scrub your face and moisturize and so forth, but skin does get within the headset, or in particular within the eye socket part. So just be sure to grab a tissue or to grab a cloth and just to wipe that out, because it can get dirty and a little bit grimy in there. Just general a bit of aftercare with it is required. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to become a nice thing to put on your face. Now, of course, the graphical quality of the image that is displayed within the headset depends on a number of things. Of course, your hardware. Have you got a powerful enough GPU? Have you got a powerful enough CPU? Because they do work in correlation. It's just not all about GPU. You still need a good CPU to make sure that they work in tandem. And of course, if the game or sim that you're playing on is well optimized. Assetto Corsa Competizione is well known for not having great VR support. I can speak from experience there, especially compared to Automobilista 2 and iRacing. So, of course, your hardware limits the level of graphic settings that you can run at, but as long as the game is optimized, generally speaking, you'll get a good image that is displayed and a good FPS count. And I've never had any issues, especially with playing the game or the sim in the settings that I'm able to. I'm not able to run everything as high as I would like or at maximum settings, because I also need a little bit set aside out of my GPU and CPU to record as well, and for you guys to put the content together. But never have any issues in regards to FPS drop or the image that is displayed. It's never been the headset's fault. It's always been either a hardware or the game's issue. It's been that side of things rather than the actual headset. So yeah, on that front, it's been good. Moving on to comfort now. So this headset is still as comfortable as the day I got it out of the box. I've had no issues in regards to comfort whatsoever. It is a real joy to have on my head, to be perfectly honest. It's not very weighty, I don't think, and apart from some wear, which is to be expected, as you can see as I turn it upside down, you can see obviously the discoloration of the headband there, in particular around the eye sockets in the middle there where it would sit kind of on my forehead, in between my eyes. That is a lighter grey. That is just a smoothing of the foam. I haven't had any tears in regards to the foam itself. So considering how much I use this headset, I think that's pretty good. It's a real comfortable headset, and I said that with my first impressions, and I'm really impressed with how it's held up over the time, especially when something like this, that you want something that's comfortable. You don't want something that's going to be a chore to put on your face. Now, around the eyes here as well, because the foam is intact and the eye socket parts, I don't particularly know what these are called. I'm sure someone will enlighten me. I have no issues with light ingress at all. So yeah, as I said, exactly like I got it out of the box from day one. Now, moving on to the headbands. Headband is still functioning really well. Functionality, as long as you look after this and you don't chuck it about on the floor, I think personally you're not going to have any issues. It's just a simple dial that opens and closes the headband, and is so essential to this headset that I'm really surprised actually that the Quest 2 doesn't come with this as a standard. It's actually an addition, an accessory. Quite an expensive accessory at that. Around, I think it's definitely upwards of £50. I think it's 60 or £70. It may even be £80. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's quite an expensive addition, but an absolute must. So they kind of fall in a few people there, really, in regards to their price points. At this moment in time, it's sitting at £300, but that is before you buy once you buy the accessories, it's creeping up towards the £400 mark. And this is a must buy. Anyone who sees this and you're thinking of buying a Quest 2, get the headband. Make sure you make an allowance for that extra cost, because it is just an absolute must. But yeah, this still works and functions absolutely great, as long as you don't chuck it on the floor, because this is only plastic. Make sure you look after it, place it down on the side rather than chuck it. As tempted as I have been to chuck this on the floor a number of times after I've crashed, common sense has come into my mind and just made me place it on the ground instead, or to the side. So yeah, simple aftercare, and this thing will hold up. Now onto the part of the video that most of you are probably skipping to, the negatives. But before I delve into them, I have a confession to make, guys. This Rift S that you're seeing here, it isn't my first Rift S. I haven't had this one for a year. It is actually a replacement. It is my second Rift S headset, as I had severe issues with my original Rift S and it needed replacing. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit about that, because I wasn't too best pleased. So let's tell you what happened. I turned my PC on, went to put my headset on one day, and I got a black screen. But I could hear the sound coming out of my headset as if I was on the main page, but within the headset itself there was no image that was displayed, only 3 little loading dots that you guys are probably also familiar with when you first put on the headset, as it's of course preparing to boot up. And then what was my controllers 10 feet below ground, which physically wasn't possible. So very strange. So of course, look to see what the issue was on the Oculus app itself. It comes up with a red dot to tell you if there's any connection issues. I was thinking, it's just something that needs to be taken in and out again. And it said USB 3.0 required. So I was like, okay, so it's just a USB issue. Unplug, replug, maybe put it into a different USB port. Same thing, over and over and over again, no matter how many USB ports I put it into. So, of course, in your need to find solutions, I went to the internet, went to the Oculus forums, and lots of people were saying the same thing, that they're having the same issue, or over the periods of time of the last year, of the last 2 years, they've had the same issue. And it has generally come after a software update from Oculus. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I did do a software update prior to this issue happening, or not quite prior to it happening. I don't know how long before, but to me there was no issues in regards to the wire, me rolling on it with my chair at the time, or any damage within the cable itself that connects into the front of the headset and into the back of the PC. So this was very strange to me. Researched it all, found some solutions, of course, went through reinstalling the app, reinstalling drivers, rolling back drivers, which even Oculus was saying not to do, but I found a way to do it, and nothing was working. Still the same issue, USB 3.0 connection required. So after a couple of days of trying this out, I went to Oculus support, emailed them what was happening, as I couldn't sort it out myself. And they gave me probably some of the worst customer service I have received. Now, I know we were in a lockdown and Oculus is based all the way over in the US. But during this time, the US wasn't in a lockdown period. They still had people working for them. And I got what was one email reply per day with a troubleshooting solution. And I was telling them, I've done this already. I will try this, but I have done this already. Gone through their procedures. And no matter even if I replied to them straight away via email, I had no reply. And that was another thing that really bugged me as well, is that they would only contact me via email. There was no contact number. There was no customer support number. So you could get something resolved in a quick manner. It was all done via email, and I was getting one email per day. So before I got through all this process, before they finally said, we need to replace your headset, this was a week and a half later, during the middle of a lockdown where I'm absolutely fuming. I mean, of course, I had first world problems. I had my monitor to use, but this is something that I've paid good money for, and I'd only had for 4 months, 5 months at the time, and this issue has arisen, and it just didn't sit right with me. So they said they're going to need all the controllers back within its original packaging as well. Sent it back to them, and I finally got a replacement after, well, I went a good month, just over a month without a VR headset, which is just a real pain. It was really poor customer service. And it's something that was out of my control. I didn't drop the headset. It wasn't something that I had done to personally stop this from working. It was something Oculus had done their end, which was so frustrating. And it seems to be that a lot of people are experiencing the same situation and still are now. I had a very big scare the other day, actually, just before Christmas. I put my VR headset on and it did exactly the same thing. And I thought, no, not again. Literally, my heart sunk because I thought the same things happened again. Thankfully, simple switch off of the computer and turning it back on again sorted the issue out. But it was a scary moment. And there was me thinking that these headsets only have a 5-month cycle, a 6-month life cycle. So yeah, very frustrating, a big issue, something to keep an eye out on moving forwards, because it just wasn't acceptable. So while the biggest negative I've had was what I've just told you with the headset needing replacing, another issue that I've had are these little things here, the controllers. I have had to have the left and right one sent back to Oculus and replaced because they just stopped working. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Just put batteries in them one day and they wouldn't turn on, wouldn't work. Very bizarre. In this case, Oculus were very quick in their response and very quick in replacing them. To me, I'm guessing it's because they're not as expensive to replace as a full headset, than the full Rift S headset. So yeah, very annoying. And one of the frustrating things with that as well, again, is that I don't know if you can change the functionality of each controller, but as you can see on the bottom there, you've got the little O symbol, and then on the left, you've got 3 lines that are kind of a select button. Now, the right controller with the Oculus symbol, when you're in game, that is the only way to get back to the home screen. You can't use the left controller to get back to the home screen. And I tried to change the functionality of these buttons, but it was impossible. So there was a long time that I went through or went in game, in sim, and wanted to go back within the headset to change something about or pin something to the screen, and I couldn't do it because this controller wouldn't function, wouldn't take me back to the main screen. The only way to get back to the home page was to come out of the game, which is just such a pain in the arse, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, once again, very frustrating, and these things just do kill through batteries. So since my last review, I have found out that they do turn off after a period of time, but even if you're not using them, if you just switch on the headsets, the controllers automatically turn on. And one of my biggest pains is that when you're in game, within the sim, in particular with iRacing, if you have a battery that is critically low, a big warning page will come up within your VR headset. It will cut off the game. The game is still working, the sim is still working, but you cannot see a thing. It takes up the whole page saying that your controller is critically low. And the only way to get that off screen is to replace the battery so that you can just go back into the sim. It is so frustrating. It's happened to me so many times, and you end up 9 times out of 10 crashing out. Why can't they just come up with a little symbol or a little error code that does not cover up your whole screen, and just let you continue, and then sort that out afterwards once you're done with whatever it is that you're doing in the VR headset, because you don't always require the controllers to play the game that you're playing on the headset. Yeah, just a very big bugbear of mine. I don't know if they've fixed that with the new VR headsets. I really hope they do, but yeah. So those are my negatives, guys. So let's talk about the news now that I mentioned at the start. That is very relevant to the Rift S at the moment for us users and for anyone who's been looking at purchasing one. So alongside the Quest 2 announcement at the end of last year, some of you guys may be familiar with this, some of you may not, but they announced alongside that the Rift S is going to be discontinued as of spring 2021. So we're only a few months away. It's not a very long time until they completely stop making the Rift S. Now, that's very worrying for us users, because that has, to me, the main issue here is, say for example, everyone goes, or a lot of you go through the same situation that I did, that I just explained, where my headset couldn't work and it needed to be replaced. Now, you do get, thankfully, a 2-year warranty with Oculus, with the headsets, which I think is quite generous of them. But how is that warranty going to be affected? Are they going to have a large stock of Rift S headsets back at their headquarters or wherever it may be that they store them in case of that for warranty purposes? Or will they say, no, we can't provide that, provide a limited warranty, or will they offer you a completely new headset if it goes wrong and it needs replacing? Their customer service is, as I said, it wasn't the best experience I had anyway. They are going to go through a lot. They are going to try everything in their power to not replace a headset, because they will have a very limited stock, or they won't have any stock at all, and they will have to either issue you a credit or they will give you a new upgraded headset, because the Quest 2 is now the only headset that they're going to be making and producing. So this leaves us Rift S users in a bit of a sticky situation, to be honest, because we don't know where we stand. will we get a replacement if something drastically goes wrong, or do we just have to try and fix it ourselves? Now, in regards to the support, they didn't outline exactly what it is, but to my understanding, I think it would just be software, drivers, updates, just making sure that the Rift S runs smoothly. I don't think we'll see too many improvements because a lot of their manpower is going to be going into Quest 2 and their next generation of headsets, whatever that may be. So yeah, a little bit disappointing in that regards. How it affects you purchasing it, of course, you've got to be wary. If you see the price of the Rift S come down drastically, that is something to take into consideration. Is the aftercare. I don't think the price is going to come down too much. It's sitting at £300 level alongside the Quest 2. But as I've stated before, once you've purchased the necessary accessories, so the link cable and the headbands, which I highly recommend, it's going to be going over £400. So the Rift S really at face value is, or when you get into it, is cheaper. So is it a good entry level headset to buy? I say so. I still recommend it. Still think you're probably going to get a good couple of years out of it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, with no issues at all, or a good year. And then the next generation of headsets should be out, and then obviously price drops come in for the Quest 2 and so forth. So I still highly recommend it. Just something to take into consideration, or if you want to put that little bit of extra money and go elsewhere with the Reverb G2 or a different headset entirely. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was informative for you. As I said, please let me know what you think in the comments below. What were your own experiences with the Rift S? Have you had any issues? Have you had no issues at all? And are you looking to upgrade or get a different headset entirely? I'm hoping that my Rift S lasts at least for another year, until this time next year, where I will then maybe look at getting another headset, and hopefully the next generation of headsets comes around, or that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not really looking to upgrade this moment in time. I'm looking to upgrade when the next generation of headsets come out, which I reckon maybe another year and a half. We do have the CES annual tech show, which is on next week. It is obviously being held virtually this year because of COVID. So there'll be hopefully some interesting announcements there in regards to the production of new VR headsets. Even though we've just had this generation of headsets have only just been released. We know how quickly things move in the tech world. So yeah, fingers crossed we get some exciting news. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to join my Discord, but it's in the link in the description below. And I'll see you for the next one.